Welcome back to Talk of the Town on 99.7, 1450 WHTC and WHTC.com.
Welcome back to Talk of the Town for this Tuesday, January 10th. I'm Gary Stevens. It is the second Tuesday of the month, which means during this segment of Talk of the Town, we get caught up on some of the things going on at the Holland Museum. And to help us do that today is the Education and Community Programs Manager for the museum, Michelle Stempien, on the other end of our Zoom connection this morning. Michelle, good morning and welcome back to WHTC. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. It's really great to be here. Thanks.
Glad you are with us. And if you have a question for what's going on at the museum, Michelle will be happy to answer it at 616-395-1450, 616-395-1450. And when we take our break about 10 minutes to, we're going to ask a question. And the first correct caller for that question that we will ask will receive some passes to the Holland Museum. So get your thinking caps on, and it will be centering on the legal holiday that is coming up a week from yesterday. And it is the day before the actual birth date of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. But before we get to that, we have some things going on at the museum. Michelle, normally we talk on the second Tuesday of the month, which comes after the second Monday of the month. So the free evening at the museum by the boards for January, but February's looks to be a good one. Tell us about that.
Yes, our free second Monday is February 13th, and we are actually doing a special program. The free second Monday is always from 4 to 7. And in February, we are having a family Valentine's Day paper making workshop. So we are going to be working with a local environmental artist named Sandra Hansen. And she is going to be showing our visitors how to make handmade paper Valentines and learn a little bit about the science behind handmade paper. I'm having trouble talking this. And it'll be really fun, and everyone will get a Valentine to take home with them. So we encourage people to come for free second Monday, February 13th from 4 to 7.
Yeah, the focus obviously on the day before Valentine's Day would be on Valentine's, but sometimes people can make very fascinating things out of just sheets of paper. You know, it's very unusual.
Yes, and this is making handmade paper is a very special process. So Sandra is going to take us through the whole process. It's going to be really fun. So get to learn a little bit and make something cool.
Now, the featured exhibit at the Holland Museum deals with folk art. Tell us about the exhibit that is spotlighted between now and mid-April.
Yes, so our current exhibition is Storied Objects, Folk Art from the Holland Museum Collection. It's in our Focus Gallery, and you'll get an opportunity to see some of the folk art from our collection, which a lot of it isn't out most of the time. So we have quilts, we have some amazing clay figures from Oaxaca, Mexico. There is an Indonesian shadow puppet, other really interesting WPA carvings and basket weaving. There's some embroidery in the exhibition. So it's beautiful works of art. And what our goal was with this exhibition is to talk about the fact that folk art comes from every culture across the globe. And folk art usually has a very utilitarian purpose, but these objects are all utilitarian, but they're beautiful, they're decorative, and they really do reflect the community and the culture from which they come. And each piece has a story, and you'll be able to learn those stories and a little bit about the artists and the culture from which it comes and why was it made. So these are incredible objects, and encourage you to come down and see them.
Let me ask a quick question, because you said something about WPA. Not too many people are left that might remember what WPA stood for. if you can explain that, and maybe to a certain extent, some of those works would be reflective of the times when WPA was indeed in the American forefront.
Yes. So the WPA is the Works Progress Administration, and that was a government program during the Depression, and it was to support cultural endeavors, so especially works of art, artists, and the objects that we're on showing are drawings that were done in support and talk about the Dutch heritage in Holland at the time. So, but it was a project to help support artists during a very difficult financial crisis here in the country in the 1930s.
Yeah, I wanted to bring that out because as we are losing our greatest generation, and those who were around during World War II, they're in the 80s and 90s now. Not many remember the Depression and how tough it was for life in these United States, be it those who were economically depressed over the stock market crash. We had a Dust Bowl situation that really hit the agricultural part. This nation was really on its heels in the 1930s, and then, of course, the fermenting of what happened across the pond in Germany and in Japan. It makes these times look rather tame in comparison.
Yeah, it was a very important program, and it actually supported artists and sent artists all across the country to document with photography and other murals, other kinds of works of art, what life was like during that time, and really created amazing historical documents that show the resilience of the people who were living at that time.
Michelle, we talked a little bit about the ongoing exhibit, which is Storied Objects, Folk Art from the Holland Museum collection. It's going to run through April the 17th. Of course, Spark Lab is a very popular aspect of the Holland Museum, and there are some special activities going on involving Spark Lab and this winter season. Tell us all about it.
Yes, we have some winter activities in our Spark Lab. You can invent a pair of shoes to survive the snowy winter conditions with our Shaping Shoes Challenge. You can sketch and build and race your own winter vehicle on our sledding hill, on our Sleds and Slopes STEAM activity. And you could attempt to build your own ski lift using materials from our high wire driver activity. And always, of course, Spark Lab is open Mondays and Fridays from 1 to 5 and Saturdays from 11 to 3. And Spark Lab is included with museum admission, and it is just fun for all ages.
Now, there are some special programs and events going on over the next month or so. The first one's coming up in a couple of days. Tell us all about that.
Yes, so we are very excited about all of our programs in January. This one has really taken off, and we're very excited about it. Thursday, January 12th at 7 o'clock, we're actually doing it's an online Zoom program. And we actually have sold out. We only can take about 100 people on a Zoom, and it's sold out, which is, but we are recording the program. So it will be available to watch. If you weren't able to register, please check our website in a few days and after the program, and there will be a recording. But we are featuring Tales from the Archives program. We are featuring Eric Hemingway, who is the Director of Repatriation, Archives, and Records for the Little Traverse Bay Band of Odawa Indians. And he is speaking about Chief Wakazoo and his band of Odawa Indians. And if you're not familiar, the story of Holland begins with the Odawa under the leadership of Chief Wakazoo. So we're going to be able to hear the story and hear more in the history about Chief Wakazoo and his what he did for the Odawa in this area. And we're really excited about this program.
And again, this program, although you cannot participate directly, you can be able to view it after the presentation with a link at hollandmuseum.org. And that is the website, hollandmuseum.org. We mentioned a little bit earlier, Michelle, about the fact that coming up on Monday is the legal holiday for honoring Dr. Martin Luther King, and the museum is going to have something special going on for that particular holiday. Tell us all about that.
Yes, Monday, January 16th is our MLK Day celebration. We've been doing this for a few years now. It is a free day. The entire museum is free for the whole day. We are open from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Our theme is How Can You Change the World? And so we celebrate the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King. We will have crafts and activities in our Spark Lab. We will have stories read throughout the day with our special community readers. And we are so excited to have different members of the community there to read stories throughout the day. And actually at 2:30 in the afternoon, we will have a group coming from Muskegon and Grand Rapids. Men of Color Read will be there in the afternoon from 2:30 to 3:30 reading stories, but come anytime during the day and there will be someone there to read different stories. We'll also have a gallery scavenger hunt. We have activity packets to take home. And of course, obviously to visit the museum and the galleries and all the things that we have to offer. So it is a free day. Everybody come down and see us.
Now, there are two other programs I want to spotlight with you, Michelle. More online Zoom programs, and we're mentioning them now because if the one coming up on Thursday is already sold out, there's limited availability, and I'm not certain whether or not these will have the same reception. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. Let's talk about them.
We hope so. And there are still spots available. And for both of these Zoom programs, Thursday, January 26th at 7 o'clock, and it is an online Zoom. To register for the program, you go to the Holland Museum website, hollandmuseum.org, and you will look on our events page for this event. And it is celebrating global diversity. It is Eavesdrop with Mina podcast with Mina Ariano. And Mina Ariano has started this a global podcast. And her first series highlights conversations and stories with modern immigrants. So these are people who have immigrated to this country, and she is talking to them and having them tell their stories. So some of the members of the people who participated in the podcast will be part of the Zoom conversation, and Mina will be there. So come and hear some of their stories, and hopefully it'll interest you to engage with the podcast as well. So this is Thursday, January 26th at 7 o'clock. It is a Zoom program, and you can register at our website. And then on Thursday, February 9th, this is a part of our Cultural Lens series, but it also makes a nice connection with our folk art exhibit. We have African American quilt history in Michigan with MSU professor Marcia McDowell. So obviously from MSU University, she is also in charge of the Quilt Index here in Michigan. And she will be highlighting stories of quilting from Idlewild to Detroit, from the time of slavery to today, from individual expressions to community collective work. So if you're interested in quilt making and African American history, this would be a great program to tune into. So February 9th at 7 o'clock.
And the ways you can register for these programs, again, through the website at hollandmuseum.org, right?
Yes, and these are free, yes.
616-395-1450 is our number. As we head for our final break, we are going to pose a question. I will take the first correct caller at 616-395-1450 for passes to the Holland Museum. It involves Dr. Martin Luther King, and of course his most notable speech was "I Have a Dream," and it was delivered a few months before we lost President Kennedy in the assassination in 1963. Where did Dr. King deliver "I Have a Dream" speech? What city? What city did Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. deliver the "I Have a Dream" speech in 1963? Michelle, first of all, let's get to our trivia question. Unfortunately, nobody wanted to take a plunge on it. The question was the famous "I Have a Dream" speech from the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., delivered in 1963. Where was it delivered? Michelle, what was the answer?
Washington, D.C. I'm sure many of you knew that. So
Well, nobody took us up on the opportunity for passes to the Holland Museum. We'll play the game again next month when we have our museum segment. And of course, the speech was delivered from the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, and it was delivered out towards the big long pool over in Washington, an appropriate setting for the remarks by, again, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. A very important day for the Holland Museum is coming up on February the 3rd. Tell us about Museum on Tap. Are there openings available for really a very important function for the museum?
It is a very important function. It's one of our major fundraisers of the year. There are lots of tickets. We want lots of people to come to this event. Tickets are $35 in advance. They are more expensive at the door, so you want to get them ahead of time. And the exciting thing about this year is that instead of holding it in the Holland Armory, we are holding it in the Holland Museum, which we are very excited about. So not only do you get to taste some great beer and wine, you also get to wander the galleries and check out what's inside the museum. So there will also be snacks. You can do tastings for beer and cider. Some of our vendors this year include Bell's and Farmhouse Cider, Guardian Brewing, New Holland Brewing, Rockford Brewing, Tulip City Brewstillery, and Way Post Brewing. And if you're not big into beer, we also have wine. Domain Berry Cellars, Leelanau Cellars, Lemon Creek Winery, and St. Julian will also be there, plus Kitty Wampus non-alcoholic soda. So something a little bit for everybody.
Yeah, the non-alcoholics for those of us who want to make sure that we can help others get home safely, even though it's only a wine tasting. Like anything, it can be, that's why we have the Kitty Wampus soda available. Right. But it's $35. Tickets available in advance. Again, either stop at the museum, which is on 10th and River in downtown Holland, or go online. And I would assume you can order them safely through hollandmuseum.org, right?
Yes, you can order them online or come to the museum or contact us, and we will get those tickets to you. So we couldn't do it without our sponsors. So thank you to our sponsors. And I know I'm going to say this wrong, but Smith, Howie, Rice, and Rogue, AD Boss, GR Strength, Macatawa Bank, and Family Fair. So we cannot do this without them, and we really appreciate their support.
Sounds great. Now, if people cannot attend the Museum on Tap on Friday, February 6th from 7 to 9 p.m. at the Holland Museum, but they could still support the museum with memberships. And we've talked about it from the past, and of course, we always have new listeners coming in. Membership is great, and there are some extra perks if you get, shall we say, a more premium membership.
Absolutely. Our premium membership is an incredible bargain at $125, and you get adults and children under 17 to visit the museum for the entire year. And it also includes membership in the North American Reciprocal Museum Program, also known as NARM, and a subscription to Michigan History Magazine. So it is a lot for not a lot.
Now, the museum itself, and this is the nuts and bolts part of the presentation here, Michelle. The nuts and bolts is the fact that the museum is open on, I'll get this right, Mondays, Fridays, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. until 5 p.m. There's, of course, the Capon House and the Settlers House, but those are right now open only by appointment.
Absolutely. Yes. If you have a group of 6 or more, contact us and we'd be happy to schedule a tour of the Capon and Settlers House for you. And
if you've never seen them, and I mentioned this a while back during one of my fall tours, walking tours, I strolled by the Settlers House and the Capon House, and they are, I wouldn't say hidden jewels, but people usually, they come to downtown Holland, they might go see Dezwan, and they'll go to stop at the museum and Centennial Park, but it's on a residential area over on 9th Street, just west of the Civic Center, and it is definitely worth the time to stop by. More information about the Holland Museum, not only the website, hollandmuseum.org, but the phone number is 616 616-796-3329. 616-796-3329. Michelle Stempien, thank you very much for telling us some of the fun things going on at the museum. Since we won't be having a chat with you or the people at the museum before the next visit, we wish the museum well in the Museum on Tap fundraiser coming up in early February, and we look forward to talking with you soon. Michelle Stempien, thank you.
Thank you so much.